today. Let me get things started. I'm going to switch cameras. Now we should be good to go. Should be live now. Let me change a couple of things. Alrighty, now I'm going to go over to Zoom and see if we got some folks waiting to get in. We do. Alright. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, everyone. I'm hoping you can hear me. I think I can hear you this week. Welcome back. Hope you survived spring break. I'm doing good. Is that Alina? Hey, Alina. How are you? I see your picture now. You changed your picture, didn't you? Oh, well, I'm not sure it's always shown up. Maybe. Did you have a good spring break? I did. I went to Michigan, got to see my mom, and that was nice. So, yeah, I mean, it was like 45, 50 degrees. It was cold when we got there. We were getting some freezing rain. We flew into Detroit and had to drive, and it wasn't bad, but it was cold. But yeah. Yeah, thanks. Did you go anywhere? Yeah, cool. Well, that's good. Okay, well, welcome. Good to hear your voice and see your picture. And we're going to get started here in a minute with, we'll give everybody another minute or two to get aboard. But we're going to talk about investments this week. Actually, for the next couple of weeks. Before spring break, we talked about insurance, and as usual, insurance is a big topic, and there was a lot of things that we didn't get to talk about. So before we get into investments, I want to spend just a minute and give you a chance to ask any questions you might have about insurance. We covered pretty well car insurance. You did a car insurance quote, so you learned a lot about the coverages and what you get for the premium that you pay and how you can adjust the cost and the coverage to lower the cost and, you know, with the corresponding coverages. But there's a lot to insurance, and I really wish, because you spend so much on insurance over your lifetime, it would be good if we spent 3 or 4 weeks on insurance. But this is an introductory course, Introduction to Personal Finance, and so we basically just get to skim the surface on a lot of things, and insurance is one of them. And I've got a ton of experience in insurance, so I'm happy to help if you have any questions, or if down the road you have questions about insurance, you know how to reach me, and I'm happy to always answer your questions. So anyway, I'm going to look into the chat, and if you don't have any questions, we'll get started on investments. And I would like to say, before we jump into investments, as I'm waiting for your questions, one of the things I want to mention about investments is that it is the most popular topic in the course. And so typically what I find is students who come into this course wanting to learn about personal finance, they really want to learn more about investing and how to make money investing. And so that's something that's very common. It's a very popular topic, and so over the years we've spent a little more time focusing on investments because it's such an important topic and because it's so popular. So we will spend this week and next week and the following week as well will include some investing. But this week we're really going to introduce the topic of investing as if you don't know a whole lot about investing. and I want you to start to learn some of the basic things so that I can quickly add on to your knowledge and give you some insights and some very practical tools that will help you be successful as an investor over the rest of your life. So to do that, there's really 4 investment strategies that I will highlight in the next week. But this week we have to cover some things that kind of are required to understand in order to understand and apply those 4 investment strategies. And those 4 investment strategies, you'll see them in your online course at moneystudygroup.com. But the 4 investment strategies are diversification, asset allocation, dollar cost averaging, and portfolio rebalancing. You can Google them, you can research them. They're very simple. They're very common. I don't know about simple. They're pretty simple, and I'm going to do my best to make them simple by telling you some stories. And so those 4 investment strategies will be incredibly helpful for you to maximize your return over your lifetime. At the same time, you'll be minimizing your risk. And so in order for you to understand how those strategies work, it's important for you to understand some basic things about investing. Things like asset classes, types of assets. There's a difference between cash, even though in your investment account you could have cash, or you could have something like Apple stock. One will grow over time significantly, and one will shrink over time. So that's an asset, cash or a large cap stock. Apple is now a large cap stock, but at one time it was a small cap stock. And so we're going to go over that a little bit so that you understand. But you really should start to understand really the distinctions between different asset classes. And so for that reason, this week's quiz is really focused on making sure that you understand the basics of asset classes so that you'll be able to understand the importance of asset allocation, which is, by the way, the most important determinant of your portfolio's outcomes or returns. Asset allocation. So you're going to want to get familiar with those terms. I call them investment strategies, but if you Google them, you'll find that they are terms. And the 4 again are diversification, asset allocation, dollar cost averaging, and portfolio rebalancing. 4 basic investment strategies that have a tremendously powerful impact on your investment returns over your lifetime. And so it's very important. Investments are like the engine in some ways. It's like the engine to your financial plan. There's more to financial planning than investment returns, for sure. And financial planning is way more important than just investment management. Investment management is just one part of personal finance. It's just one part of financial planning. But again, it's a popular part, and there's a lot to it. And it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of fun. I like investing more than insurance, but when you look at your budget, insurance is pretty important too. So all that to say, we're going to jump into the basics of investment. But what I want to do before we jump in is, I see Nicholas, thank you very much. You posted that you're here in the chat box, and that's great. So I'm going to see if we've got anybody else. Now, here's what I want you to do, Nicholas. I want you to just take a screenshot of that, because you're going to use that in your assignment this week. It's going to be a new piece of the assignment. What I'm finding is, so Chris, you can just take a screenshot. You can see the chat box just like I can. I'm going to take a screenshot. I don't know, I probably won't take a screenshot because it might mess up my technology, but you can take a quick screenshot and show that at 10:11, Chris, you posted here. Perfect. And Nicholas, at 10:05, you posted Nicholas 10 a.m. So you would take a screenshot of that. And you all need to do that. So you all need to say you're here. so that you can take that quick screenshot. And then at the end of today's class, before we sign off, I'll say, hey, take another screenshot. Post your name in the chat, take a screenshot. Cool, thank you. So yeah, just and here's why you want to do the screenshot, because in this week's assignment I'm changing things up. It's post spring break, so just a little programming note here. At this point in the semester, we start to really determine the students who are earning enough points to get that A, which is really not difficult to do if you just do the homework. But what I found is, especially since we've gone online, we do have a group of students who basically don't, that you don't have to be at this Zoom meeting, but you are required to watch the video. This is where we answer questions and introduce the assignment and talk about the topics. And so this is an important part of the course. And what we're finding is that a lot of students don't feel like they need, they don't feel like that's an important part of the course. And so for that reason, this week we're introducing a new element in the assignment, which is really not that difficult. But if you're not at the Zoom meeting, I'm going to require, make sure you outline with a timeline by topic the video. So for example, today we're going to talk about several things, and I'm going to scroll through my, this is literally the assignment that I will post in Blackboard. So I'm scrolling that through. Hopefully you're seeing that. And so this is the instructions for your assignment. So I'm going to talk about each of these elements. And so at this point, if you're watching this video on YouTube, you're just going to want to look and see what's the minute and what's the second. And you could put the topic is new homework assignment, the outline, the timeline outline. So that's a topic, and this topic is one that I'm talking about right now, and I've talked for now like 45 seconds. So if you're outlining this assignment, that would be what you do. Topic, time that it started, time that it ended. Next topic, the title, the topic, what time it started, what time it ended. So if you're here on the Zoom meeting live, you're not going to have to do that because you're here. But you will have to chime in again when we sign off. Typically, we sign off at about 11. But, I'll be here to answer questions as long as you need me. So back to the assignment. So that's new. I'm going to make sure we don't have anyone else. So honestly, out of 100 and over 100 students, we have 9 students here. So congratulations to you, 9 students. And again, unfortunately, what I'm finding is a good number of students just don't attend, don't watch the video, and then they have questions, and you kind people post the answers typically in GroupMe, which is awesome, and I appreciate it. But honestly, managing this online approach to teaching has different challenges. When we were in the classroom, not all students appreciated this, but you were required to be in the classroom. And to pass this course, you had to attend the class. And I wasn't flexible, I didn't negotiate, that was just the way it was. And some students really didn't like that. But it is what it is, because in the lectures, I try to cover not just the assignments, but I try to teach you. And it's the only way I can feel good about giving you credit for the course is if you actually participate in the teaching and the learning. And so it's just one element. So thank you for that long announcement. So let's jump into this week's assignment. What I want to do is kind of set the table, first of all, for what this week's assignment is for. What's the purpose? So I'm going to grab I just shut my computer off. That's not good. My screen. I'm going to grab my iPad, and I'm going to scroll through the assignment, and I'm just going to make sure that it's visible there. So again, in Money Study Group, you're going to find that there are some articles, topics posted, and they're just going to give you basic understanding of some essential elements of investing. So you're going to want to spend some time there and just read. It won't take long. It's just some reading assignments, and you may want to do a little extra research if you're curious, if you want to understand the strategies that I'm going to talk about next week. Then you might want to, if you're interested, and I hope you are, you may want to do a little more research than just what you have in Money Study Group. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to really help you understand those investment strategies that are designed to maximize your return and minimize your risk. But the purpose of this week's assignment is to help you understand what it is we're trying to accomplish in this section about investing. And so one of the things I want you to understand is that in your financial plan, one of the most important elements of a financial plan, and this is, you can consider this a new topic, retirement analysis. Retirement analysis is a big part of your financial plan, your online Bayrock financial planning portal. When you log in and you're working on all of that data in your financial plan, one of the key pieces of your financial plan is this section or this tab called retirement analysis. So let me jump over and just show you. Now I'm in a plan, and I think you can see it. Yeah, you should be able to see that. It's kind of small on your screen, but this is basically, you know, what you will see when you get into your plan. This is Billy and Sally. You may recall Billy and Sally, this is their plan. And it's not really, it doesn't have any personal information in it. But the retirement analysis that I'm talking about is, if you click on that retirement, like I just did, it will bring up this retirement analysis. And this retirement analysis, like I said, it's like a keystone for your financial plan. And typically, when I work with clients, one of the big goals, most challenging goals, is the goal about retirement. So retirement involves pretty much everything related to financial planning. The goal of retirement. Are you going to have enough money to retire at a certain age with a certain income? That's all basically the retirement component of financial planning. And so as we look through this, and you have this in your plan, you go to retirement, and the first thing you see is this analysis, and you get a probability of success. Okay? Pretty simple, right? It's a cool tool because when you scroll down to the action items, when you click on the action items, you're going to see that you can make changes kind of on the fly. And typically for clients, I don't give them as much access as I give you, because I want you to play with this tool and understand how these different elements in a financial plan impact this one goal of retirement. So this week and next week, as we talk about investments, I just want you to understand that investments play an important role in retirement planning. And so one of the things you're going to do in this week's assignment is you're going to get comfortable with what are the inputs, what goes into your retirement. And you can see here, it's pretty self-explanatory. You've got age, you've got monthly income, or expenses actually, monthly expenses. And then you've got the income, savings, and expenses down here. So these are just elements that are basically part of your financial plan that impact your retirement, specifically the probability of success. So the probability of success is, are you going to have enough money to retire at a certain age, or are you going to run out of money? So just don't let that stress you. You do not have to be an expert at this. I just want you to understand kind of where we're going. And so you're going to take a screenshot, a before and after screenshot. Next week, I'm going to teach you some more things that you're going to do in your plan. This week, we're going to focus on the perfect investment. So let's transition now. I wanted to show you, first of all, where we were going and what's the purpose of this assignment. But this topic now, the perfect investment, is what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes. It's not actually an investment strategy. We're going to talk about the 4 investment strategies next week. But I want to set the table with the perfect investment. So there's really no such thing as a perfect investment. Every investment has risk. There's no investment that is going to produce great returns without risk. And so one of the things you need to understand is that every investment has a correlated risk and return metric. So if there's a greater opportunity to make more money in an investment, it always means there's more risk of losing money in that investment. It's always true. And there are many factors that can be measured to determine how much risk do you have in an investment. So when I say the perfect investment, some people think that I'm going to tell them how they can invest in something that's going to give them a great return with no risk. And that's kind of what this is. But it has nothing to do with actual investments. It has to do with the tax code. It has to do with the IRS. Remember, one of the rules or one of the laws of personal finance is the law of tax advantaged investing. The IRS makes the rules. Your job is to take advantage of the rules so that you have a better result. So the perfect investment is really about that. It's about taking advantage of the IRS code. So what is the perfect investment? It's really your 401k and the matching that your company does. So the 401k match, I don't know how many companies do it and how many don't, but the good companies do it, and here's why. Good companies that want to grow, understand that the most important element of growing a business is what? It's people. It's talented people. And so in order to be competitive, any company that wants to be competitive is going to be competitive in the human resource department, which means they want to attract the best possible candidates. And to do that, they have to offer better benefits. And one of the biggest, most important benefits is a retirement planning. And the way that most companies do that, most for-profit companies do that, is through a 401k match. So I'm going to give you an example here, how it works. I've known so many people over my career as a financial planner. I've known so many people who just didn't take advantage of it. It's like leaving money on the table. And that's why I call it the perfect investment. Earlier in the semester, I asked you to go and check out Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. And I used to know them by heart. I can probably recite them, but it would take me a minute. But I want to ask you if you remember those 7 baby steps. One of them in particular, I think it was the last one, the last baby step, after you pay off your mortgage, after you pay off your debt and you're debt free and you've got your emergency fund, after all of those things, it was invest 15% in retirement. That was one of the baby steps. And so I think that's the 6th baby step, because the 7th baby step, I believe, is to be generous, to use your money to make a difference. And that is something that cannot be over emphasized, because once you get to a point where you're not feeling financial stress for yourself, I had a meeting yesterday with a student, an old student from a previous course, and he's trying to figure out how to help his parents who are struggling financially, and he feels like it's kind of his calling, his duty, his opportunity to help his parents. They've helped him so much. He's doing great. He learned a lot from this course, and he applied what he learned, but now he's watching his parents struggle, and he feels like that's something he gets to do. So that's what happens once you start to experience more success and less stress, is you have this opportunity to help other people. And, some people just say, hey, I want more, and that turns out to not generally be a very good life recipe. But most people discover along the way that helping other people is actually a pretty cool way to live. So I think that's the 7th baby step. But before you get there, Dave Ramsey says, according to his baby steps, you should be saving 15% for retirement, which is a pretty good goal. But most people that I talk to think, how in the world could I do that? And that's why the perfect investment becomes a very important piece of your financial future, of your financial plan. Because once you start to do the perfect investment, once you understand how it works and you take advantage of it, I'm going to show you today in this lesson how that impacts, especially that baby step of the 15%. So let's get to an example. I always use the example of $100,000 income. So you guys and gals, ladies and men, gentlemen, ladies, everyone in this course is your assignments over the last couple of weeks, and it will be important for the next couple of weeks. You were supposed to figure out, what is your dream job? Where would that be? Where would you actually work if you got the job that you really wanted to get based on your major and your college education? So I know you don't know where you're going to, maybe some of you know where you're going to be working, but most of you probably don't. And you probably don't know how much you're going to earn. However, it's not difficult to do a little research to figure out what is a normal income range for the industry that you want to work in. And so you were supposed to do a little research and come up with a number that made sense based on what you would earn in your dream job, the job that fits what you're training for now, what you're studying for now. So I want you to take it a step further, and you're going to have to make the assumption that you actually got a job with a specific company, and then it's not that difficult to find out what that company offers for a match. So you can do that very simply in just a few minutes. Find out how much is the 401k match for that company. And that's important for one reason, because when you start to search for the right job, the dream job, I hope you're smart enough to recognize that, all things being equal, if you have an opportunity to work for Shell or Chevron, whatever industry you're in, if one of them gives you a 7% match or an 8% match, and the other one only gives you a 3% match, then that is a pretty significant distinction between those two employers. And so you just need to know what it is. You're gonna probably be thankful for whatever job you get, and you may not make the decision based on the match, but you still need to know what the match is, because you will have a decision to make on day one when you get hired, and I want you to be prepared to make that decision. It's called the perfect investment, and I don't want you to leave it on the table. So I'm going to walk through how it works so that you know how the perfect investment works. We're going to use an example of $100,000. So assuming you make $100,000, my phone's ringing. Sorry about that. I'm going to turn my phone off. Now I'm getting music popping up on my screen. My Apple computers do all kinds of weird things. I'm getting distracted. Sorry about that. So back to the example. By the way, if you're doing the timeline outline, you don't have to put in what time my phone rang. That would be okay if you want to do that for fun. But, anyway. So back to the example. Assume you make $100,000, and the only reason I use $100,000 is because that gives us very simple math to use. So if you make $100,000 and your company match is 8%, let's say 8%, that's a really good match, by the way. It's not unheard of, but it's a really good match. So let's just use that number, 8%. If you make $100,000, here's your opportunity to chat in and tell me how much would that match be worth to you if it's 8% and you make $100,000. Very simple question. I want to make sure, it's mostly just to make sure you're not watching Netflix or on Facebook. I'm going to take a drink of water. Olivia, you got it right. Olivia said, do you guys all see what Olivia said? It was to everyone, right? No, it's just to me. She didn't put it for everyone. So someone else answer. You're right, Olivia. Your answer is right. And I'm waiting for someone else to answer. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. So, Olivia, it only allows you to send messages privately to me, not to the group. Okay, I didn't know that. I think I can send it to the group. But Olivia, you're the only one who answered. So you see how this works? We currently have very few people, 8 participants, and only one has answered the question. And yes, you said $8,000. Everyone else, I'm assuming, is on Netflix. So based on that assumption, what I'm going to have to do next week is ask everyone, even the ones on the Zoom meeting, to do the timeline outline to make sure you're actually here, because here we go. Nobody's answering the question except Olivia. Thank you, Olivia. So I'm going to have to assume that Olivia's the only one in the audience as I talk to this plastic camera. Thanks, Olivia. Alina, are you there? Surely you're there. Oh, yes, Chris. It was required to answer. When I say I'm going to wait for an answer, I'm waiting for an answer. So do you need me to repeat the question, Chris? Or do you have the question? Okay, sorry. No problem. Don't be sorry. Just answer the question. Do you know what the question was? You want me to repeat the question? Okay. I will repeat the question. Here we go. The question was, if you make $100,000 and your company match in the 401k is 8%, how much will they match? What's the dollar amount that they will match? You got it, Charlotte. Correct, Nicholas. Yes. You guys already got the answer, because as I was rambling on about how little interaction we're having, I told you Olivia said 8K, 8,000. Yes, Beatrice. Yes, Chris. Thank you, guys. So that makes sense, right? It's super easy. Now, $8,000, that's a pretty good amount of money, right? Do you think? Now, pay attention here. If you're watching Netflix, hit the pause button and just listen to this, because this is super important. Your perfect investment. If you make $100,000 and you have a match of 8%, and the company's going to pay you 8%, here's the next question: what do you have to do to get that $8,000 at this company that's matching? You're making $100,000, they're matching $8,000. What do you have to do to get the $8,000? Yes, that's required. Chris, Beatrice, what do you have to do to get that $8,000? Do you know? If you don't know, you can say not sure, but say something, chat in something. Correct, Nicholas. You're absolutely correct. Be present at work and do your job properly. Nope, that's not it. That's a good thing to do, but that has nothing to do. Showing up to work and doing your job is not going to get you the 8% match. Reach a certain age. You think it's 65. Nope. Olivia, you're correct. So Olivia and Beatrice, and Nicholas, who was not sure, you were correct. It's put in $8,000. If you want to get $8,000, if you want to get your company to match the $8,000 for your 401k match, and you make $100,000, in order for you to get that $8,000, that match, you have to actually put $8,000 into your 401k plan. That's the whole point of that. So let's see who else. Yeah, it does make sense, doesn't it? That's why they call it a match. And it's an amazing benefit. And the reason that some people, a lot of people, fail to get the match is because they don't want to put their own money into a plan that they have to leave there until they retire. which is because they'd rather spend it, or they need it to pay their bills, or they're just not good at saving or whatever. But I'm telling you, this one perfect investment, the company match, if you have the opportunity to do it, it's an absolute no-brainer. And I'm going to explain it a little more, but it's just important to understand what it is, how it works. So that's it. That's how it works. It's a match, but you don't get it unless you put it in, and then they match it. Okay? And it's money. It's like doubling your money. It's like, that's why I call it the perfect investment. So it has nothing to do with, is the investment going to go up or down? Are you investing in the right stock? Is your portfolio correctly managed? I mean, all those things are important, but getting money into the account and having the company double it is a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. And so everybody should be doing it. Even if you have to borrow money to do it, it's a good deal. It's like the only thing I would ever say, borrow money. Don't pay off credit card debt if it means you're not going to be able to get your match. Figure out another way. Get a job at McDonald's on the weekends. Do whatever it takes to match. So does that make sense to everybody so far? Because that's the first element of how it works, is the company matches. So now think about that baby step, the one that's very difficult. 15%. How are you going to save 15%? That seems so difficult, right? Right? Wait a minute. If you put $8,000 in and the company matches the $8,000, somebody tell me, what is the percentage that you just saved for that year? If you made $100,000 in 2020 and you contributed $8,000 to your 401k for your retirement, and your company matched it another $8,000, what is the percentage of your savings for that year? Oh, Chris, yes. Beatrice, yes. Nicholas, yes. You guys are, I love it. You're there. So now, do you see how that baby step of saving 15%, which really did seem like a big number, isn't so difficult? If you're lucky enough to work for a company that pays an 8% match and you take advantage, it doesn't matter if you're making $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000. It's a percentage of your income that you're saving for retirement. And you'll see how that works and why those numbers make so much sense as you start to just get familiar with playing with your financial plan. But that's the basic thing I wanted you to understand, is the power of that match. You've now gone doing nothing else. You've already taken that step of saving 15% for retirement. Now, obviously, most companies aren't going to pay 8%. Some are 5%, some are 4%, some are 6%. But it's just an example to help you understand how it works. So 100%. Olivia, I'm not sure I understand. So I think I do understand, Olivia. They're matching 100% of what you're contributing. That's true. But the maximum that they will match is 8% of your income. So I think I need to clarify that, because Olivia, you were the first one to get this right, and now you're saying 100% question mark. The match, yeah, technically I guess it is 100% of what you contributed. But the way that it works, the match, the 8% match, is they're only going to contribute up to 8% of your income. So let's say that, Olivia, you make $100,000 and you decide to put $10,000 into your 401k. So you could do that. You could put $10,000. You could put more than $10,000. But you decide you want to contribute. You want to save $10,000 a year, 10% of your income into your 401k. How much will your company match? If their match is 8%, they will only match $8,000, 8%, not 10. And so the 8% match is the 8% of your income that they will match. And yeah, on the other hand, if you do the total amount of the match, they will match it 100%. That's correct. but I just need to make sure that you understand the distinction of if a company matches 6%, 7%, 8%, whatever it is, it's a percentage of your income, and you should and you need to absolutely on day one figure out how much am I going to make at this job and figure out what is the match and at least contribute that amount to your 401k. So on day one, Human Resources is going to sit you down. They're going to tell you about the benefits. They're going to get to the 401k part, and you're going to be like, do I want to participate? Of course you do. How much do you want to contribute? That's where you have to do a little math, and you need to understand how the match works. The perfect investment, you have to know that the match is, again, if it's 8%, and simple numbers, if you're making 100,000, then that means you can contribute 8,000. So that's the math you need to be able to do so that you can at least contribute whatever the match is. Does that make sense? Okay, so the question was, just to repeat it again, because most of you got it. The question was, if you contribute 8%, the scenario is you make 100,000, the company matches 8%, you contribute 8%, the company matches it another 8%. The total amount that you have in your account now is how much? 8% of 100,000 is $8,000. So you put in 8,000, the company matched it. Now you have their 8,000 in your account. And so how much do you have in your account? You have 16,000. What is the percentage in your account that you saved that year? It's 16%. So remember, again, one of the important baby steps was you should get to the point where you're saving 15% for retirement. In this scenario, you just went to 16%. Understand? It's 8,000 for you, 8,000 for the employer, the match, totals 16%. So that was the question, Olivia. Yep, 16% of 100,000 is 16,000. So that's why I use 100,000, because it's super simple, Chris. So does everybody understand that so far? That the match, what is it? It's the match of your income. It's a percentage. You have to be able to figure out what is the percentage. If it's an 8% match, that means you have to put in 8,000 before they're going to put in 8,000. So you need to know that when you start your new job, so that on day one you can say, yes, I want to contribute to my 401k. And here's how much I want to contribute. Now next week, when we go over the 4 investment strategies, you'll know how to answer the next question that HR is going to ask, which is, okay, if you're making 100,000 and we match at 8%, and you're going to invest 8,000 because that's how much you want to save so that you can get the match. That's the no-brainer part. The next question is, okay, if you're going to be saving in your 401k $8,000, how do you want to invest that money? And that's where next week's lesson is going to be incredibly helpful for you to be able to make a wise choice about how you want to allocate those savings in your 401k. That's when we have to understand a little bit about investing. But so far, the perfect investment is really less about investing. It's more about saving. And again, it's about the tax code. It's about the benefits of using the tax code, which brings me to the second big part of the perfect investment. So the big benefit of the match is that the company's giving you money. That's the big benefit. But there's another big benefit, and it's called tax deduction. So again, you're making $100,000 a year. If you make that much money, you're paying more taxes than if you made $50,000 a year. So the more money you make over your career, the more you're going to want to pay attention to how much are you paying in taxes. Because the IRS, the code, the IRS, the whole idea of tax-advantaged investing is the ability to take some of your income and defer it or put it into a 401k. And so what happens? Does anybody know what happens? And Chris, a Roth IRA is great, and that's part of the strategies that you're going to learn not next week, but the week after. But right now, when we think about the perfect investment in the 401k, that's not it's interesting because now a lot of companies offer a Roth 401k, but the tax deduction that you get when you put that match money in is a big benefit of the perfect investment. So I want to ask, does anybody understand what happens when you save $8,000, a percentage of your income, when you save that in a 401k, what happens to your tax return? Does anybody know? Any of you are accounting majors? This is kind of an accounting question, and if you're studying to be a CPA, this is a super easy question. If you don't know, say I don't know. But if you put money into your 401k, what does that do to your taxable income? Okay, thank you very much, Chris. You don't know. Anybody know the answer to that? This is a pretty big issue in financial planning, is understanding what a tax deduction is. Yeah, Beatrice, it reduces it. So for example, if you put $8,000 of your own money into your 401k, it's going to reduce your income. According to the IRS, when they look at your tax returns, instead of you making $100,000, they're going to say you only made $92,000, which means you're only going to pay income taxes on the $92,000 instead of the $100,000. So taxes, you got to decide. You think taxes are going to be going up or down over your lifetime? I think they're going to be going up. I think you're right, Chris. I think they're going to be going up. But what the bottom line is, you're going to reduce your income taxes if you put money into your 401k. So that's the second big benefit of the perfect investment. Number one, the company matches it. It's like they double it if they match it 100%. Again, that goes back to your point, Olivia, when you said you answered the question, how much, what's the percentage? And so some companies match 80%. Most companies match 100% up to a certain percentage. In this example, we're saying 8%. So big benefits for the perfect investment. And that's how it works. So again, my hope for you is on day one, when you get that job, you know how much the match is. You know absolutely, yes, you're going to participate in the 401k, and because you know how much the match is, that means you know how much you're going to contribute so that you get the match. And then again, next week we'll go over the investment strategies, and you're going to learn enough about investing to be very confident in saying on day one how you want to invest your 401k account. So that's kind of a big part of this course. It's one of the things that I always hope every single student will understand when they finish the course is, what do I do on day one? Because that 401k at that company that's going to match is going to be one of the biggest, most important elements of your financial plan over your lifetime. So I want to make sure you get that. So that's it for how it works, the 401k, the perfect investment. Now let's jump into the assignment. Well, do you have any questions about the perfect investment, your 401k match, and how that works? I'm going to take a breath and look to see if anyone has a comment or a question. Are you able to, great question, Charlotte, are you able to increase that percentage years later? If we decide to invest 15%, can we change that to like 18? Absolutely. So the IRS makes the rules, and they will tell you how much you're allowed to invest in your 401k. The minimum, I would say, is whatever the company matches, but you're absolutely right. If you decide you want to save more in the 401k next year, you just call HR. They probably have a form. You fill it out and you change how much. A lot of companies, most companies, allow you to do that online. Like you can even do it halfway through the year. So yes, you can change it. It's just my strong recommendation is when you start this job, at least do what they match. At least. You should do more, but you're going to have to get a handle on your budget and make sure you have the right, you have enough to pay your rent, your car payment, and it may take you a year or two to get to the point to put more in. But I'll tell you this, if you start out saving more and you acclimate yourself to more savings and you don't have the extra, to spend in your budget, it's a whole lot easier to build wealth if you put yourself into that situation, as opposed to saying, okay, I'm going to save as little as I can so that I can spend more and have more fun. It's a lot harder than to put yourself on a diet later or on a budget. It's like a diet. It doesn't feel good. So it's a lot harder to pull back than it is to just stick with the plan. And I promise you it'll pay off huge, like nothing else over your lifetime. I mean, like nothing else financially. If you start out with a good amount in savings and you just get used to that, it's a great discipline. Any other questions? That's a great question, Charlotte. Thank you very much. You get 100 extra points for that. That was a joke. Okay, so no questions. So let's talk about the assignment, and then we'll wrap things up. So now's a good time for you, if you're still on the Zoom call, to take another screenshot. If you're on the Zoom call, just take that screenshot, because when you do this week's assignment, you're going to give me 2 screenshots. One that you were here at the beginning of the class, and one that you're available for me to see. So go ahead and post right now that you're still here. If you're not paying attention and you're not hearing what I'm saying right now, then you're not going to have the screenshot, which means you're basically on your own. I forgot to take my first screenshot. What do I do? Oops, Olivia. So Olivia, just do this one twice. I know you were here. Alina, you couldn't? Okay, I know you're here. So, the most, maybe we just need one screenshot that you're here at this point. That's the main one. I know who was here. I have a record of your attendance, and I know you guys got here. This is easier to just take that screenshot and throw it into your assignment. It's easier for me, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, if you don't have the first one, I will take a screenshot. Okay, I'm getting lots of comments. Yes. So if you get here at 4 minutes after, nobody actually showed up late today. Everybody that showed up on time. But anyway, enough of that. If you take a screenshot that you're still here, you're good to go. Thank you, guys. This is kind of new. And again, by doing this, giving me a screenshot, you're basically saying I don't have to do the timestamp, the time outline. You're welcome to do that if you want to, but it's a little more work, and I'm requiring it for the students who don't attend the Zoom meeting, because I need to know that they watched the Zoom recording. And so I hate to do that, but I had to do something, and that's what I'm doing. So let's talk about, for those students who are now watching this video, and you're not at the Zoom meeting live, so you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on YouTube. This is what you're going to need to do. If you missed the Zoom meeting and you watched the video, then I want you to create a topical outline, and it's kind of a timeline. So you're going to give me the topic that we talked about and just a time. It was from 3 minutes and 14 seconds to 12 minutes and 18 seconds or whatever. It doesn't have to be exact, but it needs to be pretty close. And then the next topic that we introduced and talked about, and the time range, from this minute and seconds to this minute and seconds, and then so on. So that's a new part of your assignment, and that's, you're going to just post that in one section of your assignment. It needs to all be together, not like, so just that's one section of your report is the timeline. And that's just one section all by itself, not, in each section, just put that all together in one section. Right, so then let's talk about what you're going to do in your planning portal. So now the next topic, your planning portal assignment. And this should be, for most of you, you're doing great with the financial planning portal. Some of you have a little struggle with it, so I want to make sure that I make it as easy as possible for you if you're struggling in this area. But again, I'm going to jump into Billy's plan. And so this is where you're going to take a screenshot of before and after. And let's look at the assignment. So you're going to take a screenshot showing the probability of success. And that's what I just showed you, is that screenshot. You just take a screenshot of, before and after. I want you also to grab the action items drop down. I want a screenshot of that. And I just mainly want to know that you know how to get there. So this is the retirement analysis section. And it doesn't look like it's showing up great on your screen, but so you see this action items right there. When you click on that, it's going to open up these different elements of your retirement analysis, basically. So that's what I just want to make sure you know how to find it, that you know where it is, because you're going to be playing with some of these, and you're welcome to do that. So for example, if I change Billy's retirement age to, let's say, 74%, and then I go down here and hit refresh, watch what happens to the proposed plan, current plan. It doesn't look like it changed anything. I'm not sure why. But that's what's going to happen is when, I think I've got, yeah, here we go. I'm going to refresh that. So you see how it jumped up to 51%. And what I did is I changed a couple elements in Billy's retirement plan. Instead of retiring at 67, I changed it to 74. And instead of having Billy spend $11,000 a month pre-retirement, I knocked it down to $5,000 a month. So we worked on his budget, and then plus I changed his investments. So just want you to see how you can go and tweak your retirement to change that percentage, that probability of success. So that's what that is, and I want you to take a screenshot before and after. So I wanted you to show me the drop-down list, your income data cards. I'm not going to show you those because most of you know what I'm talking about. Your savings data cards and your expense data cards. So I do want to show you your expense data cards. Let me do that real quick, because when we go to the profile, and you see how I just clicked on profile, just like you're going to do, and then I hit expenses, we've got pre-retirement living expenses, and that's where Billy's got $11,000, and he's using the simple approach. But what I want you to do is I want you to use the detailed approach. So you see that's kind of hard to see, but when you click the detailed worksheet, then it's going to give you like an area where you can enter the budget items for your plan. And you can change these, but this is where I want to know that you've done a little research to know once you get out of school and once you have your, you're making that salary that you're assuming you will make in this dream job that you're pursuing. This is where you're going to build your budget, basically. for the purpose of your financial plan, it wants to know how much money are you spending every month, how much is left over for savings. And so it's an important part of your financial plan, and this is where you enter that. So hopefully you saw that. You go to Profile, Expenses, Living Expenses, and that's where you get to click down on that detailed worksheet and start to enter what you believe will be the reasonable expenses that you're going to have after you get out of school and you start working and living on your own. So that's what that is. So let's go back, and I want a screenshot of that. So that's it for screenshots. Now, finally, I want you to do a little research. This is the next part of what you're going to do in your assignment and in your financial plan. I just want you to add your 401k to your plan. How much will you be investing? What's your company match? So you should, again, have to do a little research to find out what is the company match. Which company are you planning to work for? How much is the match? How much are you going to make? What age do you want to retire? And what will be the monthly income? So let me show you quickly how to do that. Profile, we go to net worth. Actually, I think we go to savings. Dashboard. Yeah, so we're going to go to Profile, Savings, and this is where you're going to add your 401k. So Billy, you can see he's contributing 10%. There should be a match. It matches 100%. Primary match too. So you see there, Olivia, this gets back to your question. They're going to match 100%, but they're matching 3% of his income at 100%. So that's how that works. And if you have questions, by the way, you have these little info areas that hold on. So you see the little eyes in the circles? Those are, if you have questions like primary match, what does that mean? This reflects the percentage of the client's contribution that will be matched by the employer. So that's, again, back to your comment, Olivia, that they're matching 100% of what you contribute, but they're only matching up to, and that's where this comes into play, the primary to match is this reflects the maximum percentage of the client's salary that the employer will match. So this is a data card I want you to build for your plan based on your company, based on your dream job. Again, this is an assumption. I know you don't know where you're going to work, but this is your financial plan. So I want you to build that data card in your plan and send me a screenshot showing that you've added the 401k to your plan. Then just take a closer look at your plan, and you'll go back to the details and the retirement analysis and list 3 options that you might consider to improve the probability of success in your plan. And then just grab a new screenshot. So like I did with Billy, I changed his retirement age, I changed how much he's spending pre-retirement. You can come up with any 3 options you want, but I want you to play around with those and think about what are the options that affect your retirement. Alina, it looks like you left us and you're back, so I hope you're able to hear. So Alina, I just went through, I don't know if you caught that, I hate if you missed it, but you'll want to watch the video somewhere near the end. It's 11:05 a.m., so Alina, if you missed that last explanation, this is being posted on our YouTube channel, so you can go just scrub to the end where we talk about this, taking a closer look at your financial plan. This is where your job in this assignment is to come up with 3 options that you're willing to change to improve the probability of success in your financial plan, in your retirement analysis. So, okay. Now, let's see, grab a new so you're going to then grab a new screenshot just to show the difference. Like I showed you with Billy, it went from 0 to 51. That's what you're going to do. And then just tell me a little bit. Finally, the last thing is just tell me a little bit about what you learned. Like if you had an aha moment, that's what I always like to read those comments. So obviously then you're going to take a screenshot for this week's quiz. That's the assignment I'm getting ready to post. This is not currently available in Blackboard, but it will be in an hour or so. So this is the assignment. So I see that. I thought that's what happened, Alina. You had to switch between devices. Oh, you did hear the explanation. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so everybody, thank you for being here. So glad you survived spring break. I hope you had a great time. I wish we could be together in a classroom, maybe soon, someday. I do hope to meet you face to face, but for today, that's pretty much it for week 9 investment basics. We covered the assignment, we covered the purpose for the assignment, talked a little bit about what's coming next week with the 4 investment strategies designed to maximize your returns and minimize risk over your investing lifetime. You don't want to miss that lesson next week. If you can't make it on Zoom, you'll watch it on YouTube or Facebook. And if you can't make the Zoom, I'm going to ask you to outline the video with a timeline, topic, how much time we spent, next topic. And again, when you do your assignment, that should all be one section of the assignment. So the table of contents, timeline, outline, that's one section. So I might find an example of that, or you might find an example of that, but that's what we're going to look for. In this week's assignment, it's a new piece of the assignment, is the topical timeline/outline. So if you weren't able to be on the Zoom meeting, don't forget to do that in your assignment this week. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below in the YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching. Or if you have a question, shoot me an email, or better yet, check GroupMe, because it's a great resource. If you have a question, other students typically have an answer. If you don't get an answer, then reach out to me and I'll promptly respond as quickly as possible. A screen, I'm not going to repeat what you wrote there, Nicholas. Did you see that? You made a misspelling. Instead of screenshot, you said screen something else. Just FYI. Entire chain, I forgot as well, but oh yeah, you're cool. Is there a timestamp showing that you were here if you missed? Don't worry about the first screenshot. So yeah, you saw your misspelling there, Nicholas. That was funny. Did we have to take a screenshot at the end of? Yes, Alina, you need to take one at the end. So take a screenshot just showing the 11:09 that you posted that question. That's fine. Just pop that into your assignment. If you're here, take a screenshot just showing that you're here with a time. Typically, if you post something in the chat, that's a great screenshot for you to take. Okay, I'm going to hang around if anybody has any questions, or if you need to talk to me about anything related to your grade or the course. I'm available for that. And otherwise, end of class 11:10. Alina, that's perfect. And we are done. So you guys have a good one. I'm going to stop the broadcast now, but I'll keep the Zoom meeting going. So if you have a question, thanks, Chris. You have a great day too. If you have a question, post it in the chat. I'll be right back to Zoom. Now I'm going to jump over to stop the broadcast at 11:10 a.m.